guys, Anna here from the House and Homestead, and today I'm going to be showing you how to make fire cider, which is a traditional herbal folk remedy for cold and flu season. So I'm going to be showing you how I make my version of fire cider today and how you can kind of alter or adapt your own version to suit your needs and to use what is available to you. Now, fire cider, it's called that because it's got a lot of kind of warming properties, warming herbs and roots and things like that that help, during that kind of colder time of year, cold and flu season. So the term fire cider was kind of coined just to sum up the types of ingredients that are in this blend. But if you don't want to make this yourself, you absolutely can purchase it. It is available on store shelves, but I will tell you, I have seen the prices for fire cider on some store shelves, and it is exorbitant. Like, I'm not even exaggerating at all. It's like crazy, like a small bottle like that for like $20, and you can make it for next to nothing. And I'm going to show you how to do that today. And you can make large amounts as well to get you through cold and flu season, because let's be honest, a little bottle like that ain't going too far. Not in our house anyway. So, like I said, fire cider is called fire cider because it's a warming herbal remedy that's really, really good during the fall and winter months when we're naturally colder, and the types of kind of health issues that we're having are, come from kind of that being cold and flu, sinus infections, respiratory issues, coughs, things like that. And everything that's in this particular herbal remedy is really, really supportive of those types of health issues. So the first thing that you're going to start with is apple cider vinegar. So that is the liquid that we're going to be infusing our herbs into, also called a solvent. So I am using my own homemade apple cider vinegar, which I actually make from the peels and cores of the apples that I process in the summer and fall when I'm making applesauce or apple pie filling or baking with apples or apple butter or the myriad of other apple-based things that I make and preserve when they're in season. Instead of just tossing those peels and the cores, I will just put them in water, non-chlorinated water, and you just make sure there's a weight on top so that they stay underneath the surface of the water, and you cover them up. I like to cover the top of the jar. I put them in gallon jars, and I just cover it with like a coffee filter, or you can use cheesecloth, but I find in the summer and early fall that the fruit flies will still find a way to get in through those little holes in the cheesecloth. So I prefer just using a coffee filter to keep them out, because they love fermenting apple cider vinegar, trust me. So you cover it up, but you let it breathe, right? You don't put a lid on or anything, and then you let it ferment for a few weeks. You then strain out the solids, the peels and the cores, and reserve the liquid, of course, and it will have started to ferment and bubble and everything else, and then you leave it out for another couple weeks fermenting, and then bottle it up and let it sit. And kind of the longer it sits, it's now getting a little bit of a darker, that kind of what we'd expect that apple cider vinegar to look like, right? The liquid itself is getting a bit darker, and it's got that real vinegar taste to it. So I make my own apple cider vinegar out of not even like full apples, apple scraps, right? The garbage, the stuff that we would throw away or compost anyway. And I use that to make my own apple cider vinegar. Now, there's lots of recipes online. If you are subscribed to Modern Homesteading Magazine, which is our monthly online magazine that we publish and put out to subscribers, and it's free. So if you are subscribed and you got the September issue, the recipe for my apple scrap cider vinegar was in there. But you can find recipes online. A lot of them will call for added sugars or whatever to help the fermentation process, but I find you don't even need that. So I literally don't pay for any extra ingredients whatsoever, and I can make my own for free, essentially. Get free apples from a neighbor's tree, and I use the scraps to make my own apple cider vinegar. So, and again, just a note, if you're not subscribed to Modern Homesteading Magazine, then make sure you get subscribed, because the November issue, if you're watching this video, just shortly after it's published, the November 2019 issue is all about herbal remedies for cold and flu season. So there's lots of really, really great information in there. There's another recipe for an elderberry syrup and all sorts of really great advice on how to stock your home natural medicine cabinet and everything else. So make sure you get subscribed. Go to thehouseandhomestead.com/magazine. Anyway, I digress. I'll get back to this now. So we start with apple cider vinegar. I make my own. You can make your own too, but if you don't have your own, you can certainly use store-bought as well. Either way, start with apple cider vinegar, and then our herbs that are gonna go into it, and we're gonna put the liquid in last. I'm gonna put my herbs in first. The first thing that you wanna start with, if you can get your hands on it, that is traditionally used in fire cider recipes, is horseradish. So horseradish, I've been able to find it at one of our local grocery stores. It can be a little bit difficult to source if, depending on where you live. If you cannot find it, it's not the end of the world. You can omit it. But if you can find fresh horseradish, then get yourself some, and you're gonna want to peel it and chop it up. This is a chunk of horseradish that I had left over. So it looks similar to maybe a ginger root or a turmeric or something like that. But anyway, it's a root, right? So you want to kind of peel this outside part off. Then inside you can see it's white, and I just chop it up finely, and you want half a cup of that. The horseradish, so boosts immunity, helps to support the respiratory system, right? That's that kind of spicy and a kick to it. Will help clear sinuses, and it also can help with regulating blood pressure. And there's a whole host of other things. But as far as kind of cold and flu, really, really good for clearing your respiratory tract, clearing your sinuses, that kind of thing, and supporting immunity. So I'm just gonna use my canning funnel. This is great. I love this, not just for canning, but for putting anything in jars makes it really easy. So there's my horseradish. Okay, and then the next thing I'm gonna put in is some onion. So again, use organic onions, right? You don't want any, non-organic or pesticides or anything like that in your medicine for sure. So I've got one medium onion that I diced up that I'm gonna add in, and onions contain high levels of vitamin C. They also are anti-inflammatory and have antiviral properties. So again, really, really good immune boosting properties for cold and flu season. So there's my onion. Okay, and then the next thing I'm gonna add in is, now let me just double check if I had it. Yeah, okay, this one. To check which one's which here because they kind of look similar. So this is garlic. So I've got half a cup, or no, sorry, it does equal about half a cup, but I chopped up about 8 to 10 cloves of garlic is usually what I go by. And of course, garlic has lots of really great immune boosting properties as well. Garlic, if you had to probably choose one herb or root or natural remedy to keep on hand during cold and flu season, garlic it'd be pretty near the top of our list anyway. Maybe honey and garlic together though, that's pretty much all you need. But as far as adding it into this fire cider, so garlic contains something called allicin. So A-L-L-I-C-I-N, allicin, which actually helps ward off cancer, and it is also antiviral and antibacterial. So really, really raw garlic, right? Great to add into your fire cider. And then I've got my horseradish, my onion, my garlic. Ginger is another one. So again, about half a cup of chopped fresh ginger I'm going to put into there. And ginger as well is anti-inflammatory, antiviral, nice warming herb, right, for this time of year. Then I've got some chopped fresh hot peppers. So you can use any type of hot peppers, or you can omit them altogether if you have an aversion to real spicy or hot peppers or anything. I do find that in the fire cider, it is diluted. It's certainly not as hot and spicy as biting into a fresh pepper, like nothing like that, right? But if you don't want to use hot peppers, you don't need to, but it does kind of give this fire cider, an extra kind of warming boost for sure. And also the hot peppers, I'm using serrano peppers in this case. You can use, chili peppers or jalapenos or whatever you like. And I chop them up and I leave the seeds in because that's where you get the real kind of warming properties and the capsaicin, which is in it. And that capsaicin helps to improve circulation and to clear respiratory issues as well. So really, if you have a sinus infection, you're really stuffed up, and you've ever bit into a hot pepper, you probably know, you've heard people say probably, oh, it's so hot, it cleared my sinuses, right? Well, that's legitimately true. It can do that. It actually has the medical properties to help clear your sinuses. So I find it's a really great addition to a warming fire cider. So that's kind of your base. We've got horseradish, onions, ginger, garlic, and hot peppers. But then I like to add in a few other herbs as well, and this is where you can kind of really get into customizing it and using whatever you have on hand. Another thing that I like to add in is turmeric, because we do have turmeric root. We don't grow it, but we have it available at our local grocery store. And turmeric, of course, has lots of fantastic health benefits as well. It is also anti-inflammatory and strong antioxidant. So I like to add fresh turmeric into mine. But again, if you don't have this on hand, or you don't want to use it for whatever reason, totally optional. And then I like to use some of the fresh herbs right out of my garden. So I use thyme and rosemary in my fire cider, but you could also put in like oregano. Mint has some good health benefits, but I don't know how, like, mint's almost like a cooling flavor to me. I think it would be a little bit jarring with the warmth of the herbs in a fire cider. So I don't know if I'd recommend that one, but oregano would be another good one. And oregano also has antibacterial, antimicrobial, and antiviral properties. Is really good for, supporting a healthy immune system and, cough and cold symptoms and things like that. But I like to use thyme, especially in mine, because thyme is it's an expectorant, which actually means it helps to clear mucus out of the body. So if you've got like a wet cough, or like I say, a sinus infection or something like that, like you can tell, when you're coughing, you got mucus in your chest that you can't get rid of. Thyme is a great herb to support kind of clearing that mucus out. So I like to just grab a handful of fresh thyme, and I like to kind of just bruise it up with my fingers a little bit like this, because that will help to release the essential oils, which are what contains all those healing properties. I love the smell. So I do that. I kind of just like bruise it up a little bit and throw that in there. And then rosemary. This is quite a bit of rosemary, so I'll probably just use a couple sprigs of this. But rosemary, also natural decongestant, so same, right, can help to kind of clear the sinuses and things like that, and is antibacterial as well. So again, I'm just going to kind of bruise it up and break it down so it will fit in my jar, and stuff it in there just like that. And then I just go ahead and vinegary, so it's ready. So then I just go ahead and I pour in my apple cider vinegar. This is also, like I mentioned, I make my own apple cider vinegar. This is a fantastic use for it. I mean, you can use it in many of the same ways that you can use store-bought apple cider vinegar. But for any of my homestead and peeps who do canning and things like that, or you should know anyway, that you should never use homemade apple cider vinegar in place of, or as the apple cider vinegar in canning recipes, because you need to make sure, for safety reasons, that your vinegar is at least a 5% acidity in canning recipes. And because there's no way to know or to test the acidity levels of our homemade apple cider vinegar, it's always recommended that you use store-bought for that. So I don't use this for canning, but I do use it for things like making my own medicine, or, of course you can use it for salad dressings and things like that in place of store-bought. But this is a fantastic, because I got so much of this year, like we probably did 4 gallons worth of apple cider vinegar. So this is a great way for me to use up some of my homemade stuff. All right, so there we go. Again, I just want to try to make sure that things are submerged. I like to use one of these, like a mason jar like this that has kind of the shoulders around it too, because it helps to keep anything kind of below the surface. I'm just going to top that up a little bit. And that's it. And then I'm just going to go ahead and pop the lid on. And I actually want to kind of maybe give that a good shake just to get it all mixed up in there and get those herbs really infusing into the apple cider vinegar. And then I'm just going to let that sit. And I'm going to let this sit. I just pop it in my pantry. You can, leave it on your counter or whatever. But I let that sit for about 3 or 4 weeks. If you remember, once a day or once every couple days, or honestly a couple times a week is probably enough. It's probably all I do. Just go and give it another shake. Just helps to infuse it and get it all mixed up in there. And then just let it sit. And so you're going to leave that for about 3 or 4 weeks. Then you're gonna strain out all of the solid materials, right? And I just, if you got chickens, then they'll eat a lot of that. You can feed it to them or toss it in your compost. And then you're gonna reserve that liquid, and then you're going to take that throughout the cold and flu season. And of course, if you're feeling sick, you can take it. It'll help to kind of clear your sinuses. But if you can take it as a preventative medicine, that's really the best way to kind of get into herbal medicines and to take herbal medicines, is really to support your immunity so you don't get sick in the first place. So now that my daughter's in school and she's coming home with something that seems like every other day, and we're getting into that time of year where we're all getting sick and everything, I like to take, this is a full shot glass because I was using up the rest of what I had left in there, but like just about half of this, right? Or a tablespoon is probably enough per day, if you can remember, right? Again, no hard and fast rules. If you like take it every other day or when you remember, that's fine. But if you can remember to take about a tablespoon or a couple teaspoons a day, or I like to use my little shot glass, I'll usually do about half a shot, and take that daily, then that'll help to support your overall immunity and help to prevent you, hopefully, from getting sick in the first place. And of course, if you are sick already, then I would up the dosage a little bit, right? I'd maybe do like a couple of these half shots a day, 2 or 3 a day, to kind of clear my sinuses and get things moving, right? And support my immunity. The other thing you can do just to sweeten it up a little bit is, after you strain all that out, if you like, you can mix some raw, unpasteurized, right, local honey. And unpasteurized is really important, raw honey, because that's the honey that's got all the health benefits in it, right? If it's been pasteurized and heated up, then that's going to destroy some of those properties. So you can mix that right into your fire cider to sweeten it up a bit and kind of just bring the acidity and the heat down just a tad. Or what I actually like to do is just take my fire cider straight and then have a teaspoon of honey waiting there to kind of chase it down. So I'll take my shot and then have a teaspoon of honey. Right now I do not have a teaspoon of honey with me, but I'm going to go ahead and take this shot anyway. Oh, yeah. So it's strong. It definitely does clear the sinuses, but it's invigorating, and it's absolutely worth it to take a little bit every day during cold and flu season, because it will help prevent you from, coming down with things, or at least will help you to recover faster if you do. All right, so if you like this video, of course, hit like below and subscribe so that you never miss an update from the house and homestead. And also, I will pop a link down below to the full article that's up on our blog with the printable recipe for fire cider, if you'd like to refer to that or print that off. See you next time.